The National Federation of State High School Associations made two significant transitions in the late 1970s: new leadership and a new location. Bryce Durbin, who was executive director of the Kansas State High School Activities Association from 1962 to 1976, became NFHS executive director in 1977.
Mr. Fagan, he announced his retirement in 1976, and that's when the executive board interviewed and hired Mr. Bryce Durbin, a great executive director from Kansas. And then he went in for a year, understudied Cliff, and then he took over in 1977.
In 1979, after being located in Elgin, Illinois for 8 years, the NFHS relocated to Kansas City, Missouri.
And of course, then Bryce made a really tough decision. They moved their office down to Kansas City, which was a great idea. It took a lot of courage. But the National Federation, and I don't know if this is accurate, but I think at that time, 75% of their budget was selling rule books. That meant printing business. And so they put their own printing service down in Kansas City, and we're only a couple of miles from the airport, and there was a hotel. Everybody thought they died and gone to heaven when they go to Kansas City for a meeting because it wasn't fighting all that traffic again.
Once there, Durbin spearheaded a number of new programs and initiatives.
And Bryce was an innovator. He's too humble when he talks. He's an innovator. Immediately, he got speech and music started and gave them help. And he realized how important those events were. And other states were doing it, but he got it going. He and his staff and the executive board. Whenever I use somebody, it's the executive board of the National Federation approved with all these things. And then Bryce had activities week. All over the country, every high school had an activities week. And the whole zest of it was the values of athletics and activities. People take it as games and playing, and Bryce had the idea that the values that kids have got, like discipline, and dedication, and desire, determination, courage, loyalty, teamwork, pride, that's what comes out of activities.
The decade of the 1980s was one of numerous advancements and changes. Among them were the National Federation Interscholastic Coaches Association, the National Federation Interscholastic Officials Association, and for those two professional development associations, the National Conference of High School Coaches and Officials.
The success of the NIAAA led to us, my job at the National Federation was to start the NFICA for coaches and the NFIOA for officials. And we rested on the success of NIAAA for the way we promoted it, and we grew to a couple 100,000 members, in the time that I was there. We also started a coaches education program. It took 18 months to convince the state associations that they were not infringing on the coaches' training. And so we got that started, and that's expanded now to a wonderful program.
In addition, the National High School Sports Hall of Fame and the National Federation Officials Equipment Center were created at that time.
We put together a nomination form and the criteria that we'd have outside people not knowing the vote of other people and so forth, which has worked out really well. It's grown tremendously.
On the performing arts side, the NFHS created the National Federation Interscholastic Music Association and the National Federation Interscholastic Speech and Debate Association. In the early 1980s, the NFHS became the sole sponsor of the National Debate Topic Selection Meeting. One of the key programs at that time was the Target Program, a national education program for the prevention of student use of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco.
And all of a sudden, he got a passion, and one that was needed, for substance abuse and chemical awareness. Our country was really in a turmoil. And where do you go when kids have problems? The number one place in America is the National Federation.
In addition, the NFHS published spirit rules and included water polo rules in the swimming rules book. The decade of the 1990s saw the NFHS expand upon its already broad spectrum of quality services for its membership. Among the highlights were the start of the National Federation Interscholastic Spirit Association, a governance restructuring to change the executive committee to the board of directors, and the development of a new mission statement, constitution, and bylaws. In addition, the decade saw the starting of publications for high school coaches and officials, NFHS Coaches Quarterly and NFHS Officials Quarterly, the starting of the NFHS Foundation, and the NFHS becoming a founding member of the Citizenship Through Sports Alliance. In 1993, Durbin retired as executive director, and Bob Canopy succeeded him. During 1994 to 95, Alvis Johnson of Kentucky was the first African American president of the NFHS. And in 1996, Becky Oakes of Missouri was selected as the first female president of the NFHS. The NFHS ended its tenure in Kansas City in January 2000 when the NFHS National Office relocated to Indianapolis, Indiana, its current home.